Hey YouTube, the Bloodhunt closed playtests have recently ended, and I wanted to cover all of the new additions to the game since the early access, so you don't miss anything added or changed. I have also just shared an Enforcer overview and gameplay video, so make sure to check that one out, as he was the star of the new additions. As always, if you find the video useful, or just want to make me smile, hit that like button and subscribe for more Bloodhunt breakdowns. The first major thing you will notice before you even get into the game is the new splash screen sporting the brand new Easy Anti-Cheat logo. I can't say how effective it will be when the game launches fully, but even with the thousands of new players who joined Prague during this playtest weekend, I didn't come across a single cheater, which is very refreshing compared to our previous experience in early access. The next new addition is found in the Elysium, and as many of you may have noticed, there are some areas that have been opened up with the clan primogens making more space for themselves. With the new areas to explore and refreshed user interface, the Elysium is looking as sharp as ever, and I can't wait to see what they've planned for launch day. The tutorial has had a makeover, guiding the player a little better in some of the actions like gaining resonance buffs and fighting an AI opponent. I spent a little time running around in here in case there was a secret to be found, but couldn't see anything worth mentioning. I mostly used the tutorial to configure the controller bindings, which brings us on to the next addition, Aim Assist. Don't worry, it's not overpowered at all. I had a few games on controller, but with the matches being generally more skilled than in early access, I was struggling to keep up, so I decided to return to keyboard and mouse after a few test games. The integration feels rewarding, with a little aim assistance, but nothing powerful enough to turn me into the new Nick Mercs. I don't believe that input-based matchmaking is a thing, as I could freely swap from one input to another mid-match with no issues. Just be careful that the controller doesn't fall off the desk with the vibrations while you shoot. The new Bloodhunt Solos mode was my main focus for this weekend's testing. The mode features a respawn mechanic, where everyone starts off with a spare life, which will allow you to get back into the action once more after being eliminated. You will respawn close to the point of your death with a blue assault rifle and a spiked bat to defend yourself. You are granted a few seconds of immunity where you're able to run around and get your bearings, but not interact or shoot. Finding special mortals to feed on will refill your used extra life, and allow you to respawn once more. I will be covering this mode in detail with tips and tricks soon, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. I spent a lot of time roaming Prague discovering all the new additions to the map, some of which were teased in previous trailers, and some were complete surprises. Two new named locations made their appearance to Prague, Train Station and Library, which both contain their own Camarilla cache with high tier loot. Train Station is a very wide open area with limited verticality, which would be great for Nosferatu players, and Library is a very close quarters area, which will massively benefit shotgun and melee users. There is also a new entity checkpoint above Memorial Park. Speaking of the entity, holy cow did they get an overhaul. The checkpoints are now closer to small villages inside of Prague, and hide what seemed to be even more loot than previously. The addition of the tents and structures means that you are less likely to get shot at 200 meters away with a broken line of sight, and some of the soldiers seem to have been trained by stormtroopers. Don't underestimate their lethality in numbers though, as you can find yourself quickly overwhelmed still. I can't wait to have some end zones around the checkpoints, as this would really make for some chaotic fights. The new in-game player report tool has been added to the Spectator menus, but when your squad is eliminated in trios, it auto kicks you to the match summary, so I'm not sure how that would work well. I didn't need to use this feature at all during the tests, so it wasn't an issue for me. The Ventrue have made their long-awaited appearance during the tests, and we were able to play as the Enforcer to test out his abilities. I will be doing an in-depth guide for the Enforcer when Season 1 drops, but if you want to check out his abilities and some gameplay, I recommend you check out my overview cover, which I'll link at the end of the video. I think that he needs some balancing, but I'll go into more detail with my feedback video that I'm currently making. With the Ventrue, we also got Archetype progression levels. These are effectively XP based levels specific to each archetype, where reaching a certain level will unlock perks. There are 9 perks in total, which vary from faster reload speeds to starting the match with 2 resonance buffs. This is a great way to keep people grinding out the levels while also rewarding your time by giving you more freedom on how you want to play a certain vampire. My favourite combinations are Saboteur and the Phlegmatic perk, which cuts down the Sewer Bomb cooldown right from the start of the match, or Vandal and the Choleric perk, which gives you a nice melee damage buff to surprise your early victims. The playtest also featured a new weapon and some new variants. The 9-barrel rifle is the new marksman weapon, and as the name implies, it has 9 shots, with each consecutive shot increasing the fire rate of the next one. The rifle has a large burst of recoil as the shots increase in speed, but also features the fastest damage output in the game once you get to the fast part. The weapon has a massive potential if you can control it, and can deal massive amounts of damage, but with the low ammo capacity, it can be a risky weapon at closer ranges or in teams. If you want to see how it compares with your favourite weapon, check out my weapon stats sheet, which I'll link in the description below. We also saw the arrival of 2 new gold variants, with the revolver and the toggler. The revolver features an extra 2 bullets and improved recoil control over its purple variant, whereas the toggler features 4 extra bullets and increased fire rate over the more common variants. The golden assault rifle was removed from the loot pool, but with the new additions making some very happy players, it wasn't missed as much. Staying on the topic of balance changes, there were no official patch notes, but I think I may have found them all. Starting off with the weapon changes, we saw the revolver revert to its previous values at 45 body damage and 90 headshot. The burst rifle had a small buff to its damage, but nothing game breaking, going from 25 to 26 damage to the body, and 33 to 36 to the head. This technically opens up a 2 burst down at 200 hit points, but you would have to be crazy accurate with it. I didn't notice any other changes to weapons, but if you think you've noticed a change, let me know in the comments and I can verify it from my footage. The archetypes also had some balancing added, with Saboteur being the main difference. The sewer bomb now does 25 splash damage and around 25 damage per second, which makes the gas much more lethal than previously. Visibility through the gas has also been drastically reduced, and combined with the damage increase, the bombs are now something you should be careful of and not something you can ignore. Siren saw a buff to his passive ability by increasing the radius at which mortals are charmed. This is a nice addition and makes grabbing resonance buffs a lot easier for both you and your team. The Toreador Projection Dash saw a small heads-up display change to better display the state of your projection. Nothing game-changing, but as someone who doesn't play Toreador as much as other clans, this is a helpful visual reference. Let me know how your playtest weekend was, and if you think I missed any of the new additions to the game.